morning, and with the video game theme music, it's a video game episode. And welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. It is Tuesday, the 7th of February. Tongue twister. Let's discuss today's big, what's it called? Today's big game. And I think it's a big game with an asterisk. Whereas, it's a big game if you liked SpongeBob games historically, but kind of fell off after a certain point. So let me give you a brief primer of where we are with this. So, SpongeBob had a few games in the 2000s that were, buggy but kind of okay. There was on the PlayStation, I think this might have even been, no, this would have been early 2000s. SpongeBob didn't start till 99, but there was Super Sponge on, on the PlayStation 1. There was Legend of the Golden Spatula on the Game Boy Color, which was pretty fun. Kind of a Metroidvania type game, which is kind of cool. There was, what else was there? There was Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, which I had a lot of fun with as a kid. Granted, I wasn't exactly the most discerning child on the planet, so, if there were graphical glitches or anything like that, it didn't impact me as a player. I wasn't someone who would be negatively impacted by that. And then there was Battle for Bikini Bottom. That was the big one. That was when we did our conversation years ago on 30-minute reviews about the best licensed games ever made. We talked, this was a game that came up as one of them because of how solid a game it is. All around. And then I think the next one after that would have been the movie game, which was, I only played the PC demo of, but I remember having fun with that. And I didn't play the full. I remember playing and being like, holy shit, these graphics are great. And keep in mind, it was 06 or 05, so whatever. Or maybe it was the other way around. But either way, there were other games that came after, but at that point I had already dropped off. My brother was a big fan of Nicktoons Unite, which was that, the game that was, like Danny Phantom, Timmy Turner, SpongeBob, and I want to say Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot, all teaming up together to fight a bad guy, or I think it was the Legion of Doom style situation, but whatever. I mean, those games all came out when they did, and herein lies the issue, is that from then on, we entered into the late 2000s into 2010s, where the licensed game kind of not fell by the wayside, but game tie-ins for shows and game tie-ins for movies kind of had a fall off in quality. They weren't as good as they used to be. And a lot of the issue stems from, the developers that were making them didn't view them as, we're doing something, They weren't viewing them as a platform to really innovate. So a lot of it was just take what we know, apply the skin to it, move on. And that was visible even like Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, which was not the best game on the planet, but I had a reasonable amount of fun with it back in the day. Now, herein lies the inherent issue with and I think there was a in that game, I seem to recall there being a level where there was a glitch that would make it so you couldn't beat the game in mind, and where it's if you got to that point and that glitch was there, it's well, fuck, you gotta start all over. I seem to recall that, or maybe I just didn't understand how to get the thing. Either way, so around that time these games started to come out, and it's they were kind of cash grabs. They were there to make money, capitalize on the IP that was already in the public consciousness because of the movie. So you got games like TMNT, which wasn't fantastic. I played it on the Wii. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, same story. And these games didn't quite live up to what we had become accustomed to. So then by the time you get to the years where, okay, now Marvel Studios is a thing, you end up with, like, tie-in games in the beginning of the MCU, where you end up with, like, there was an Iron Man game, there was a Captain America game, and then you get to the end and it's like, they don't do it anymore. They just don't. And there was a time where it's like any movie coming out that was for a wide audience had a tie-in game. So it was kind of disappointing to an extent, where it's like, alright, I'll check the game out. But no, that ended up falling by the wayside. So now we have a little bit of resurgence where we don't have games that are explicitly tied to movies, but we have licensed IP and prestige IP being licensed out to studios to make properties with them. So we're getting, a Black Panther game, we're getting an Iron Man game, we got a Spider-Man game. That's fantastic. I would say even the Arkham games, being where they were kind of the exception to the rule, and they were kind of the precursor to where we are now. But either way, so a few years ago, I want to say it was 2020, THQ Nordic partnered with, I forgot the studio's name, to produce, as the same studio who made The Cosmic Shake, partnered with this studio to make a remake of SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, which is the rehydrated edition, which had new graphics and some other things, not really too much new. There was a multiplayer mode that included one of the cut bosses, which was a giant mechanical Squidward, stuff like that. So it's a cool kind of idea that they did that, and it's like, alright, sweet, let's do that. Then, late last year, they announced The Cosmic Shake, which was, when I watched this trailer, I was like, holy shit, this is a spiritual successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom. It is the sequel that never happened, and I was like, alright, right on, this looks cool. And I was on board with that. And so it's like, it's one of the things like I went and picked up, and if you've listened to the Beware of Spoilers where I talk about living, you know the story of my misadventures to pick up this game initially, because I thought the release date was different because they misshipped it to my brother early. So, long story short, I finally get the game, and now I've played it. I don't think that... Here's the issue. I knowing what I now know about this game, and how it plays, I would not have paid $40 for it. I don't think the game is worth the $40 price point. I think the game is too short. I think the game is too straightforward, with very little puzzles or very little... Because, like, that's the thing, is that it's like, at least going back and playing the rehydrated Battle for Bikini Bottom, which, if you have a PC, you can pick it up for $10 at Walmart. Playing the rehydrated Battle for Bikini Bottom, the puzzles were kept intact, and there was still a level of difficulty to it. Even as someone who has played the game before, A, and B, was in his mid-20s now, playing the game again. It's one of those things where it's like, the game has aged well, keeping it that way. Unfortunately, the issue with this one is it feels like a lot of the puzzling has been, like, not dumbed down, I don't like using the word dumbed down, but, like, omitted entirely in favor of platforming that is, at times, frustrating. I feel like that's kind of an issue, is that when I'm, like, I have to collect this goo, the cosmic goo, and I'm jumping around and, getting all of that, and it doesn't quite feel 100% right, I don't think. Like, a lot of the jumping mechanics don't quite work properly. The glide mechanic is questionable at best. The lock-on bubble attack is frustrating. It'll lock on, but the bubble won't go where you want it locked onto a lot of times, and I'm just like, what the fuck? So you have to sit there and move your position around a lot to try and get it to work. Like, I'm not 100% certain why it does that. Maybe it's a glitch, but it just doesn't work right, that mechanic, which just artificially extends your playtime, because you have to accommodate for the fact that this key aspect of problem solving, and we say problem solving in quotes because it's not really solving any problems. It's like press this button and you can keep going forward, and it's not like the button's hidden. It's like the button is directly in front of you. And it's like there's no risk of ever losing unless you decide to do something dumb. And I think too, it's like the enemy variety. And I had this complaint about Hi-Fi Rush as well, where it's like the enemy variety isn't quite there. And I think that's part of the problem here is that it's like, okay, so we're gonna get into one of these little monster rooms, and we're gonna fight a bunch of the little goo creatures, and then sometimes there's a goo creature who shoots tartar sauce at you because we can just reskin the robot that shoots tartar sauce at you from the last game, and all of that. And it's like, and while you're playing, you can kind of pick out what they pulled from where and reskinned. So it's like, okay, so I'm in the Goo Lagoon level where I'm fighting Grand Admiral Prawn, and okay, so all of this stuff is pulled from the Carnival in the Goo Lagoon level in the last game. It's just they reskinned it and rearranged it. It's like, okay, same thing goes for Jellyfish Fields, which is set in the Old West. It's like, and those things are kind of cool, and playing with the various dimensions that are slightly different and all of that is a cool idea. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm saying that the mechanics of gameplay around it don't work, which make for a unique gameplay experience that doesn't quite feel 100% right. Have you ever noticed that it's virtually impossible to get and stay comfortable in a car in terms of temperature? Have you ever noticed that where it's just like, I'm sitting here and it's like, okay, so I put the heat on, now it's way too hot, then I turn it down, and it's like, now it's way too cold, and it's like, what the fuck, just let me get an equilibrium going so I'm sitting here comfortably at least on my way to work. So, like, look, I'm not saying the game is irredeemable or bad or anything like that. I had some misgivings about, about the last game as well. Dr. Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Fortunately, they did correct one of the issues via patch, namely the point where he gets, there's a level, you talk to Mr. Krabs and he gives you a golden spatula for all the shiny things you collect, and then for the scaling of how many you need is just obscene, and you just have to sit there and grind, and I was sitting there like, alright, so I gotta grind this out, and then it's like, I grinded it out, and then it's like, okay, so 50,000 of them, you can open up the movie theater, and I was like, alright, let's open the movie theater. I forgot what was in the movie theater, and then you go in, and it's like, oh, it's concept art. I paid 50,000 shiny things that I could have used the golden spatulas to get concept art. Cool, I guess. But yeah, I feel like this game, you know, it's entertaining enough, and the elements are there to make the story entertaining the entire way through. I just wouldn't pay full price for this game. I don't think that a $40 price tag is necessarily worth it. I would say wait for it to go on sale. Predictably, it'll be Black Friday. I would say probably down to 20 on Black Friday by the end of this year. Or Steam Summer Sale. I can see it getting marked down to 20. At that price, I can kind of justify it a little bit better. But at full retail, 40, no, I would not. I would not buy this at 40. So I think we'll wrap up there for today. Our next episode for a video game is going to be next Friday. We're going to talk about Hogwarts Legacy, which is subject of controversy. Who would have thought? Because this fucking game can't do anything without controversy. And it's not even like they are, it's not like people are making a big mountain out of a molehill because of J.K. Rowling's involvement. This is like literally like, you know, and look, here's the thing. I understand both sides of the coin on this because I've been impacted by this from other studios, not video game studios, from movie studios, where when you, like, they don't want you to come in and trash their game before the game comes out. I totally understand that. If you give negative review, you're less likely to get stuff in the future. I was not overwhelmingly positive in my review of Moon Knight when I saw that early, so they were hesitant, Disney's hesitant to give me stuff now. it's, I put in the requests, and very rarely are they approved, and I very rarely get screeners or anything. So, look, here's the problem. I think that the issue becomes that for someone like me who has a small podcast with a small audience and all of that, it's one thing to say no to me. But when you're not giving a review code to Polygon, when you're not giving a review code to Kotaku, when you're not giving a review code to Game Informer, that stinks of we're trying to manufacture a positive result for something that is probably not going to have a fully positive result. And I'll say this as well. If I don't get a review code of a game, I have to pay out of pocket for that game. I got to drop the $65 with sales tax to pick up whatever game it is. So inherently, I'm holding it to that standard of, is this worth $65 to buy and play? And you'd be surprised to know, I assume, that is, it is hard to hit that bar. So just something to think about, people at Warner Brothers, for, it costs you very little to do that. If you don't sell one more game, then that's on you, but whatever. I don't want to sit here and sound like an ass. But, so there's that. We have Tales of Symphonia the week after. And Kirby Return to Dreamland the week after that. We do everything a week late because don't get review copies. The only company that really gives me stuff early, if I ask, is Akuparna. And they're great over there. But they're a small AAA indie studio, so that makes sense. Because they want positive press. So that's coming up. We also have the Bad Batch continuing this week. We also have, I think we're doing Magic Mike Magic Mike, what was it called? Magic Mike's Last Dance on Friday, and we also have, what was the other game? What was the other movie? No, I think that's it this week. We're going to do that Friday, and then we're going to, or maybe Saturday we'll do it, and then we'll have, Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday. I've moved around the schedule a little bit. Go to multipleworldproductions.com/calendar to check it out. And please give us 5 stars and subscribe. That would help us out immensely. We're trying to get more people to listen to this show. The more people listen to this show, the more cool things we can do, because the more money we get from advertisers. So keep that in mind. If you can just go on and whatever you're listening to this on, just hit subscribe. We will likely have something for you at, every step of the way on this. We cover a lot on this show. And go over to 30-minute reviews and do the same. Josie and I did a lengthy discussion on VR gaming and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. That went up this morning. So, until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.